What's up, guys? You're watching TUGGtv, and this is Regicide.
Hi.
Yeah, so this, for the rest of the people, this is going to be our first podcast / YouTube entry / whatever you want to call it, because we still haven't figured out a name for it. If you guys have anything, please let us know. If the viewers have anything, please let us know. So we still haven't named it yet. So welcome to the podcast, or rather the TUGGtv podcast.
Also known as whatever the fuck you want to call this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that should be the name for it.
Yeah, we were planning to do that, but then I think YouTube might just kick us out.
A hashtag will change everything.
Yeah. Who knows? Probably YouTube might start using #day2.
Right.
Oh, but yeah, for the viewers who do not know who Regicide is, please give us a introduction into the world.
Okay, so we're Regicide. We're a Bangalore-based old school death metal band. So we've been around for about 2 years
Wait, hang
now.
on, we'll take
almost.
that again. Keep the mic.
Use the mic.
Okay,
Yeah,
we need
the
the mics a
mic.
little closer.
We can use this also in the podcast. It's okay.
Huh?
Podcast we can use, but then we can't use this for the YouTube. Yeah. So cool. So for YouTube's sake, we have with us Regicide. So give us a quick intro.
Right. So we're an old school death metal band. We've been around from January 2017. So that's basically what we do. We play old school death metal. We started out in the vein of Bolt Thrower, Massacre, and Benediction, all the greats of
Nice.
the 90s. Yeah.
And also the fact of being not many people, I'm pretty much sure would actually recognize those names, because half of them would only be like, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Jai, I know metal. That becomes the whole factor.
Yeah, that's our target audience actually. We're just going to change their opinion. That's what we've been trying to do.
I think even from the beginning, from 2017 onwards itself, you guys have had quite a lot of shows which is going on, right?
Yeah, 2017 was very eventful for us. So we started out in the early January, which was exactly when we started out. The 4-piece lineup that we had then, and I think our first show we played was in the next month, February.
J-Cubes, that was Feb 17th.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, the JQ which is there in Malaysia?
Right.
No,
Banshankar.
Oh, Banshankar, sorry.
Right. Yeah. So I've been going there for years now, and I never imagined this place would host a
Metal show.
gig.
Yeah, that's why even I was a bit confused, because that's only known for all your dance parties.
Yeah, exactly. We were very confused throughout the show because there wasn't an actual stage there. It was a proper underground setup.
Yes.
So,
Then again, who are we to judge? We played in BMS IT with the Nataraja in the background.
Yeah, that was our last show, by the way. That's how we
right.
played. Yeah, so that was killer shit. Yeah, you were talking about that experience.
It was actually a good show. We had since it was our first show, and we didn't expect a lot of people to actually turn up and show up, support and stuff, but we were actually pretty surprised for that show. We got almost 50 people, which is more than
that compared to the things which are happening in the Bangalore metal scene. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
50 people is quite a good of a crowd for a thing which is non-publicized and all those
exactly
things.
Yeah. So this was actually a edition of Live at Dive, which is the jam room dive, set up by Yashwant and the guys from Dive. So they've been doing this. I think the edition we played was the third one, and they used to do it at the jam room itself before that.
Okay.
And this was the first time that they started out. So on the lineup was us and this Infamy, which is a heavy metal band also, which was their first gig as well. So, and Netherrax, which was Yashwant's band.
So nice starting point for
Yeah.
all you guys.
Good point. To know what exactly we need to do
Yes.
to play live and not just pretend to play live.
That's the whole factor, because half the places wherever you go to, first of all, they don't have proper equipment. The guys won't even know what has to be done. They're just okay, stage is there, just go to whatever you want types.
Yeah.
I think this is something we've all faced. So I think when we also used to jam, you end up going on stage and you end up with a sound engineer who's for a lack of better words, Scrappy had his job. And so how would you guys deal with such scenarios? Because I'm sure everyone has had a bad hair day, but you still have to play a show. So how would you deal with it?
Yeah, we've dealt with like a ton of shows where during the songs, after the song ends, I'm talking to the guitarist, telling him, like, "Don't tell the song guy to increase the guitars."
I think you would have the most of the problems because since sitting behind the drum kit, like half the things first of all would not be there if they don't have a good drum monitor. And then it's
I think drum monitors are pointless. Like, it's time everybody should all the drummers should at least shift to in-ear monitoring.
Yeah.
Because you can't hear anything. Every gig that I've played, more than half the gigs, the first few songs are just like, bro, increase this, increase that.
For you guys watching, every time you see the drummer do this, now you know what it means.
It's either that or he's showing the finger to the audience telling, dude, you guys suck. So, probability.
Yeah, but it's more often the sound guy than the audience. The audience need to be there.
Pretty much the sound guy is like, in between the audience, right? So
Yeah.
Same functionality as well.
yeah.
And most of the time there's so much lights you can't even see who you're telling to.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That
agree with
becomes a
that.
major
It's a
factor.
crappy thing. I don't
Yeah,
understand
because
why they do that.
everybody wants to have it like this big Bollywood show and then everything is there and then you're like, dude, I can't see.
Yeah, I think most of the shows we played, I think like some of the shows like the one at Humming Tree, the Bangalore
Yes.
Death Fest, those, I think the lighting was really good there.
Yes.
It worked out for us. We could see what we were doing. We could see what we were playing. But most of the time we're unsure whether it's a show or it's a wedding, what's going on. We have no idea.
Pretty much. And especially the factor that, when you go play like all these college gigs and everything.
Yeah.
So their idea of moshing is like doing all the Bollywood moves and then going around.
Yeah, college kids actually, I would always say go ahead because they're having fun in the end.
Yes.
That's what matters.
So that's the whole thing. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, they should remember. They're like, there was this awesome drummer. Hey, I was doing the Nagin dance for this song, dude.
Yeah,
that has to register at that point.
Yeah,
I think
so-
speaking about bad lighting, there was one of the shows, and we've done a video on this, where the lights guy accidentally turned the light onto the crowd.
Oh.
So we can't see the band. I think this was a
Yeah.
Death Fest.
Yeah.
And then we had to go and tell the guy, dude, I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Like the light has to be
Yeah,
on
you
the
guys had
band.
one major light which was just right above you
Yeah.
guys, and then
Yeah.
they started focusing on all of us. We're like,
I think less than it being the light guy's fault, usually, and barring this situation, of course, usually what happens, I think the venues are intended for something else completely.
yeah,
And-
that's the whole thing. Most of
Yeah.
the metal gigs which are played around are not meant for metal. You're just
Yeah.
kind of utilizing it for that.
Exactly.
Very few of them actually know, okay, like there has to be this acoustics, there has to be proper equipment, like how we have here.
Right, yeah.
That's the crazy part of India.
So if we had to ask you, which is like the best gig you've had and which is the worst?
Best gig we've had.
Off the top of my head, I think I really like the Grinders protest gig that we played.
Oh, yeah, we
Oh,
all have
okay.
different choices, I'd say. Yeah.
And the Humming Tree gig that we played, Bangalore Death Fest. That was damn good.
What about you? What according to you would be the
Um,
what's the worst one that you had?
See, I wasn't there with them for the Bangalore Death Fest. I joined like I think after that or something. Yeah. So I guess the gig we played at Indigo, what was that? Killing Fields.
Killing Fields.
Also.
I think that was like the kind of gig I played, and also it was my first time playing death metal. I'm actually from a heavy metal background,
Yes.
so it was a nice experience.
Cool.
Overall, it was cool.
Nice.
No, at the end of the day, that's what is the main thing, right? Go
Yeah,
on
that's
stage,
what
have some
counts,
fun,
man.
come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. That's what we've been doing. I think since like our first break was I think Bonded by Blood in June. So this was the edition with Empyrean and Antakrit that we
Yes.
played for the. I think after that, like I couldn't pick out a favorite gig if you ask me personally, because each gig had its own
Ups and
merits
downs,
and we had fun at all of them. I'd say Bonded by Blood and Grinders Protest, which he mentioned.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was this gig we did in the Durance of Hate
Okay.
tour and at Blue Frog again, and Bangalore Death Fest. And after that, Killing Fields. And the last gig we played, which was Echoes from Beneath, which was also a brilliant gig with the huge lineup. So all of these gigs we had,
Wait,
6-7 bands playing that day.
that's good. No, but see, speaking on this topic, we actually need to address one major thing. What is your view on like the Bangalore metal scene right now?
in one word, I'd say scattered,
Mm-hmm.
and probably also use erratic to describe it. It's few months it's booming, few months
Yes,
it's
a few months is like nothing much is going on.
yeah. That
I think it's interesting you say that, and let's also not forget the whole issue that's going on with regard to these places and the
Yeah, the live
licenses and
music.
all that.
right.
Do you think that has some sort of role in this? Does it affect the scene or?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. As we saw the recently the gig at Fandom, which had Primitive down, it got shut off mid gig.
Yeah,
while
there was
Speed-
some, even the cops came in.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was a lot of issues which happened.
Yeah,
right?
that's from what we've heard, because personally we don't know what exactly happened. So probably the venues had problems going on with the
No, that it
government.
happens, like, your licenses and all those things.
Yeah.
And the problem, like, see, this is one thing wherein it becomes a very controversial topic because of the fact that, certain places it'll allegedly be like a wrongdoing from the governments, and certain
Exactly.
times there'll be places who wouldn't have the right
Yeah,
licenses and stuff, but then they'll be like, no, it's because of all of this that this is going on.
Yeah, I think a lot of the venues actually did that.
Yeah.
Like I think there were a few venues like I'm not sure which ones exactly, but from what I was reading, I mean, it was a straightforward rule, and
Exactly.
it's been around for quite some time. It's just been implemented now, from
Yeah,
what
that
I
was
know.
the thing what was happening. Like, these guys used to like pay off the cops and
Right.
just get over with
Get
all
by.
of it. But then now they kind of started cracking down on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the problem is we as the general public, I mean, we'll never know what the
What
right
exactly-
issue is until and unless we are actually part of it.
Yeah. I saw most musicians going, bring back live metal music.
Yeah. No, that was something which was quite interesting for all of us, because we were like, when all of that hit up, like everybody was asking for that sign up. I forgot which website it was.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Petition
petition thing.
and all that
Exactly.
came out.
So that thing, and then I was like, dude, there's no ban on like music per se. Like, it's only the factor that you need to have a right license and then go ahead with it.
Yeah. I think Nitin has some gyan on this.
I think it's totally stupid whatever they've done.
It's actually stupid from both
what is the
ends.
point
Yeah.
of calling musicians and
Yeah,
telling them we won't be able to play because
Exactly.
Yeah,
No,
that doesn't make
I'll
it's
tell
our
you.
fault.
No, that was the thing. Wherein that organized this thing at Vapor or Hummingtree somewhere.
Vapor, it happened. Actually.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we were actually planning to go there. So we actually
Camera stopped.
yeah, let that happen. This is anyway running. So we had actually talked to these guys, and then we were like, okay, can you guys just give us like the main
Damn
switch? So you need some more claps.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah.
Shit is enough.
Yeah, so as you were telling, right, we talked to the organizers and we asked them, okay, what is the major agenda? And nobody got back to us.
Yeah, nobody got that.
Yeah,
And I don't know what's happening with that whole thing.
Exactly. That was the
That's all
whole
I got.
point. That's when we decided, okay, dude, they don't have an agenda. What's the point of us even wasting time there?
Dear organizers, just saying, we're still waiting to figure out what the.
Yeah, what that
What was it about?
I think the organizers are the last ones here to be blamed, because they're. I mean,
they're not to be blamed, but it's essentially the factor of giving information. when
Right,
needed.
right.
That becomes the factor.
yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. This organizers and misinformation and this
yeah,
lack
that-
of communication is, I think, we are quite synonymous with. Would you agree or disagree? I mean, it's something I feel that's quite there in the Bangalore scene where there's lack of communication.
Personally, I mean, for us, I think we've had mostly good experiences, because
every organizer that we've done gigs with
has been super nice. Yeah. So
No, that's okay. From next, you can just. No, but then see, that becomes the whole factor. If you actually see it, like times have actually changed from since when we were actually in the scene. Like,
Right.
that time a lot of misinformation used to keep going on, and that's actually one good thing to see, that the music scene is evolving to such a way wherein people are being much more transparent. to
yeah,
fans and
yeah.
stuff.
I think with all the gigs that we played, we were told exactly what, right from what will be our slot to the timings to how long we have.
Very
and-
transparent and very well organized. I think every gig that we've played.
yeah,
so far.
every gig. Yeah.
There are
That-
people like that. There are people. There
Yeah.
are good organizers. There
Yeah,
are
now
bad
a lot of good ones are coming up actually.
No,
Yeah, I think only in recent times we also worked with a couple of them who were like super transparent. Deathfest was one of the few
Yeah,
which was
Deathfest.
extremely transparent. And
Exactly. Yeah.
No, and I think in all over the scene, one major thing what is good about the evolution of it now is I think you guys get a lot more time for like sound check and everything.
Yeah, that again depends on the show
the
itself, on the
organizers.
organizer, how many bands play.
Because we remember, like, a lot of the shows that we have done, they used to be like, you have 5 minutes, whatever extra time you take, that's going to cut into your
Set time, yeah.
So we're like, dude, the fuck, like, you've changed everything.
Yeah, I think that has overall changed in the scene. And
Yes.
There is
Yeah.
both good and bad, like most of you mentioned.
Right.
Then again, we've had organizers like those with, which was with Gorod. The event that was
Right,
pushed
the
out. That was
Orca
an absolute
Networks.
mess.
Yeah,
Right,
okay,
yeah,
that
that
was
was-
a major mess.
Yeah. Just reading all that was
Yeah,
disturbing.
it was sad.
Yeah.
No, and the factor was, I'll tell you, even we were like in contact with the organizers when we kind of started asking for information and stuff, and then there is this one point when suddenly everything is cut off.
Right,
It's like,
right.
hi, is there an update? What is happening? And then nobody responds, and then all of a sudden we see this status.
Right.
Like, fuck.
And you have to feel bad for the bands that flew down
Exactly.
from. I think Metastatus
Yeah,
from
Metastatus,
UK
yeah,
came down
came
and
from
they were
UK,
just
yeah.
stranded here without
Yeah,
shows.
nobody even informed them where everything is. They're just like, I guess they'll be standing in the airport going like, okay, what do we do now?
From what I heard, Metastasis was the band of the Orca Networks owner itself. I
okay.
think I'm not sure, but this is what I'd heard. The woman behind it, I don't remember her
I
name.
forgot her name. Yeah.
Metastasis was supposed to be her husband band, so that's what
Oh,
I've
right,
heard.
Right, yeah, that's true.
So I'm not really sure again.
But still, it is a bother because these bands are coming from abroad. It
Yeah.
kind of is.
Yeah, but
You're
when they're
pulling
putting
up
up
the
the show,
wrong
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And you're putting up the show and you mess up.
You see, that time what happens is, okay, for that band it'll be pretty much okay, but then there'll be like hundreds and thousands of people waiting here for that particular lineup.
right.
No, but I don't think it's the band to be blamed because they would
No, the bands wouldn't know anything about this. That's the problem. See, even we got to know that something is happening because of Gorod's update that, okay, hey, like,
our
cheap
flight.
yeah, we don't know whether we're going to play. And we're like, the fuck? Like, then we went and I was like, hey, what is this? I saw this update. Nothing. Hi, can you respond? So, yeah, that shit happens.
Yeah.
Oh well. Okay, another thing I want to discuss, one thing that has been and around and in the Bangalore metal scene is this battle of the bands.
Right.
What do you think about this?
Battle of the bands, like
Yeah, the college fest.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a part of the Metal Fest. I don't think.
No, that's not part of the metal scene, but then there's just a general
Okay, yes,
overview.
No,
you're
because-
right. It isn't part of the metal scene, but this is something that happens a lot in Bangalore.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just a way for metal bands to just, sort out their things as a band because they probably don't be considered as like serious contenders
Yes.
when
Yeah.
the judges actually
so
judge
when
metal bands.
I think when we started out just around January, we actually wrote our songs pretty quick, so we needed a place to test that out.
Yes.
Know what we had no hopes of winning, so right from the
Yeah,
start.
it's just going there for
Yeah.
the fun sake of playing.
That was a
Yeah,
good call.
not just playing to know like what exactly we sound like and what exactly we should look for when we play other shows, sound check. and
Strawberry
everything.
Fields, I hope you're listening.
We didn't play Strawberry Fields.
Yeah,
No,
we
this has happened. We played Strawberry Fields and we
Right,
were a metal band and
Yeah.
metal band with an indie band with a pop band with मतलब क्या है कुछ भी.
No, they don't care about old school at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
Yeah.
To be
It's
honest,
unfortunately,
to be
that's
honest, if you play a synth, you win.
dude, even if some guy just comes and goes, wow, dude, awesome.
like
Or even 3-chord songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the music that's being appreciated is fusion, where there are bands which are coming and mixing some parts of metal with, say, a violin or a tabla.
Exactly.
No, but on this topic, like looking at it, I'd say it's not about old school, new school. It's got nothing to do with even metal for that matter.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't have hope that you're going to win, that's not because you're a metal band. It's because
Yeah.
how you are. So I think, I don't know about since we play old school, I can't say that, it's because old school, they have a vendetta. No, I don't think so. I just think
that,
it's...
and I think most of the issues what happens in all of these battle of the bands as he was talking about, right? Like the judges would be from just a particular type
Genre,
of genre.
yeah.
Genre, yeah,
And
so they
then
want to
they wouldn't
understand
be able to
the other. They
understand the rest of it. Like I still remember the funniest part is I had once been one of the judges for the Battle of the Bands which happened in Pesek, the Electronic City Road.
Right.
So the two other guys who would come with me, they were from a classical fusion band.
Oh, okay.
And like obviously they're just gonna be like too fast, too noisy, And I'm like,
You were a judge in a battle of the bands.
Oh, you don't know that? Oh, by the way, that's a story.
Dear
for a different
whoever
day.
made this the judge, I'll have what you are smoking.
Oh, but come on, at least there was some support for the metal community, dude.
Okay, point.
So who won that battle of the bands?
A 4-chord band.
I'll still have what you're smoking. Though.
So that was the case. Because see, there were 2 other judges and I was one of them. So it's like, obviously, even if I give like 100% and the other guys give like their 100% to the other bands.
I'd say, like, as far as Battle of the Bands goes, forgetting all the schools, middle school, old school, whatever, it's all about, judges can be anyone. In the end, metal isn't meant to be, mainstream or not. It's just
not a
abrasive,
competition at the
basically.
end.
Yeah, it's not a competition. You
it's a
just go
celebration.
play, you enjoy, you come back.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty much what it's
That was our
supposed to
aim, and we knew what to expect. At least we had never done a sound check before, never heard ourselves through the monitors.
That's where it actually helps. Because
Yeah.
in a lot of places where we go, like, or rather that used to be the case for us, since we never used to get time for sound check and all. Like wherever we would get the chance, just go, just put it up as soon as possible. Like, okay, try this on, this setting works, do this.
Yeah, that's what it's for. I think
Exactly.
when we at the time when we played 2 Battle of the Bands. I think one at MSR80 and one at BMS. So in these 2 we had friends from this band called We'll Decide on Wednesday, which is
that.
right. So metalcore band. So but they were catchy. In the end,
pretty
like
much.
you can't deny it. They are catchy. They're good. And they're good at what they do. They're tight.
Exactly.
That's it. They won, and that's all. There's no saying that it's.
No, there's no clear winner here.
No, but then again, music is subjective. If the
Yeah,
judges, metalcore again is like more, say, acceptable. Like if you're listening to metal for the first time, you won't get into old school music that easily.
Right,
And if you listen to metalcore, it's just like catchy breakdowns.
Right. While that is true, you can't. There's no bar for measuring it. It's Battle of the Bands, not Battle of the Metal Bands.
No, but then again, music is subjective. So
I like where this discussion is.
Yeah, I know, this is fun.
Okay, so let's come back to the point at hand in terms of the Bangalore's metal music scene. What, according to you think? Let's start with what the fans should do for the scene. How can the scene be improved? Anything you got in mind?
Personally, I feel like fans should. I mean, if they like a band, they should support that band however they can. It's not come to every gig, come to any gig. You have to watch this band because they're playing, and that's what enables the organizer to put up the next gig. I mean, there's no money in this. We all
and
know
the
it.
fans don't have an obligation to like come and watch every
that's
gig
the
and
thing.
every band. There has to be bands that they like to want to go and attend that gig. And
Exactly, and it's not about metal music in particular. Like I love bands like Thermal and a Quarter, Mad Orange Fireworks, stuff like that. And I go to these gigs; they're always packed, and you can't say it's because it's not metal. It's because they're good. That's
Essentially, that's the whole factor of it. And I think more of the thing here goes down to the organizers and stuff like that. Because there are certain cases wherein we have seen there'll be 3-4 shows on the same day.
right.
That kind of saturates the crowd out. Like, see, even assuming that there are 200 people who wanna come to a show, and there's like 4 or 5 things happening, there's only be like 20 to 30 people who go for each of the shows.
Right. Yeah, this I think happened with Echoes from Beneath when we played. So when we played the next day, I think there was a
the
gig with-
dehydrated.
dehydrated coming
yes.
down from Russia. But essentially, it was assumed that both the crowds are different in the end. So
No, that is okay, but then on the same day it becomes a very different
yeah, it
thing.
does. This I've seen when for 3-4 months it's dry, and then
Immediately everybody wants to do a gig.
I think when 2013 or 12 there was a day where in NH7 Testament was playing
correct.
and Gojira was playing on the same day.
Yes.
So while still the crowds are going to be different, no denying it.
No,
But
there what happens is if you have like a bigger scale and a bigger band coming in, yes, you're gonna have quite a bit. But then for a smaller gig, when all of us are playing and stuff like that,
right.
when the expected crowd is anywhere between like 50 to 100, and
Right,
then
right.
multiple this thing happens, it kind of bums out.
Yeah, it
everyone,
does,
including
definitely.
you guys, the organizers.
You're not sure
the
where
venue.
you want to go. Yeah.
And then the crowd is just gonna be like, Should I go here? Should I go there? And then flip a coin and then go there.
Even the day we played at Grinders Protest in
There was
2017,
the Bangalore Open Air pre-party.
pre-party
Ah,
going
it
on.
was
So
on the same day?
yeah, it was on the same day. So after our set, we stayed for a while, watched the bands for a while, and then we headed towards Genocide Shrines,
Yeah.
which is something we wanted to catch. So in the end, like we managed to get the best of both.
Yeah.
So no saying.
Yeah.
No, but I think when gigs also happen on the same day, most of the fans, even if it's not on the same day, like with Echoes from Beneath and Dehydrated, most people say that they have money to usually attend only one show.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they usually don't have money to buy CDs, t-shirts to support
Exactly,
the
yeah.
band. So even if they like it, they...
They can't actually go
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Not intending to stereotype, but metalheads go to school, study, and get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, get a good day job which can support you.
I think that's something that we would like to preach from our side.
Yes. Education, the
Yeah.
root of all good things to come.
There's no money in
Yeah.
metal. Everyone knows
Yeah,
it.
pretty much. It's
Yeah.
like it initially, like, you know, starts off with like a hobby or something like that, and then we kind of try to see what is the best that we can make. Like, see, everyone here, I'm pretty much agree that we would love to have a job wherein like music kind of provides complete, support.
Right.
But then reality is a very different thing.
Yeah.
But
It
then
is.
there are people who do
Yeah, there
manage
are
to do that as well. But that's not always like because of metal.
Yeah.
They don't play just metal, they just start playing everything.
Yeah, you will have to do
Yeah,
that.
it's just that metal will not sustain you.
Yeah. For
I
now.
think, I mean,
Yeah.
For now.
for now it makes sense, and kudos to those who actually have that
But
ability
even
to
for
do what they
like
love.
the near future, it doesn't seem to be getting better
Yeah, it's
because
not way too much.
yeah, because there used to be a lot of gigs happening in Bangalore like a few years back, and that just seems to be like reducing
Yes.
with time because like even the organizers are backing out because of the whole venues issue.
Yes.
So there's
No, that is a major thing which is happening. Like, probably in the early 2010s and everything, Bangalore was like the hub of metal. Like,
it's the
anybody
metal
who.
capital.
Yeah, exactly. And then any metal band which should come down, Bangalore first. We have to go there. But then now it's kind of spreading apart.
I think it's safe to say the one thing that messed it up was this stopping gigs from happening at Palace Grounds, which was sort of city
Yeah, it
center.
contributes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you
Partly
think
that,
about it, apart from that, we didn't have a venue.
There
or
was
anything
also
else.
a metal gig in Pebbles that got cancelled.
Hmm.
Metal Assault, I think.
Okay.
There were a lot of bands like I think Cryptos, Demonic Resurrection,
Yeah, Inner
Undying
Sanctum, the Downtrodens.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
Chaos.
they were the people who bought the tickets, they were refunded or something else. They were given entry to another gig for free.
Okay.
So I think this is about 3 years ago or something. Yeah, but apart from that, it's also the venues. Venues don't want to host metal
Yeah,
gigs.
that's a major thing,
It's-
and it's pretty stereotypical now because they'll tell, metal loud noises, you guys will drink, you'll destroy everything. Like, we don't do that. We come there just to enjoy it.
No, but as a venue, if we drink, it's good for you, right?
No, but then they are afraid the factor that you will drink and throw the bottle here and there.
I think apart from this one fundamental problem, most venues
yeah.
face or they think metal gig koi nahi aayega.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
a
is
lot of
one
venues
It's
think
one
like that.
problem
Yeah.
that I've
Also, most like we've done this ourselves when we were broke and younger. So we like I've seen this happen whenever there's a good venue that's hosting a show. They obviously increase the price of alcohol to justify the
that's right.
entry, and most people just pre-game outside.
that's
Come-
a
that's that's a big loss for the venue in the end. They're not running a charity.
Pretty
So-
much, yeah. No, so that happens. So they need to kind of find the sweet spot in
Yeah,
between. where
balance
they're
has to
okay,
be
give
found.
them daru, give them place, okay.
And for you guys watching, go to the gig, man. Get out of bed. Shut the fuck up. Go.
that was so randomly uncalled for.
Also, I think
Well, the good news is I know my mic is working.
No, you were talking about the good thing.
the thing about the scene, any scene, Bangalore metal scene or just India scene collectively, there are not many good bands to justify
Yeah.
the audience actually turning up for it. So the bands that are actually really good, and the crowd speaks for
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that is the thing. When one of the major things what even we have kind of observed is the factor that whenever you kind of have like a following, first of all, the band's lifetime is very small these days. Like,
Exactly.
Every other day there's a band popping up and a band just like dying.
Disbanding, yeah.
Or rather, like 3 bands who will just have like people running around here and they're calling, yes, we're a new band.
Yeah.
That happens quite often. But then, sticking to what you do kind of like through the long haul helps, like as you go.
Yeah, it does. Also, I've seen like bands that have been around for 10, 12 years just disappear without a trace, man.
Exactly.
No statement,
That's
nothing.
the fun part. Like most of the bands that we used to play with, these days
Yeah,
when
they
you
won't
look them up,
disappear.
you're like, gone. Like, where did they go? And then like suddenly you find them on Facebook, like, dude, what's happening? Like, no, man, this happened. So
Who are we to judge? We also disappeared without a trace.
But then we came back. That is the point. We came back.
We were on hiatus.
Yeah. That's like the best thing. What were you guys doing when we were on hiatus? We were discovering ourselves.
Finding
We
our
were-
sound.
We were recording our album. I've heard this.
No, but then you'll have to justify it with an album to say, yes, I was doing this.
Not necessarily, because after 6 months, no one gives a shit, honestly.
Or basically, there's one awesome thing. Till I lost all the files. It was on my phone. That's the simplest way of doing it. But then good
But
shit.
something we will not be doing. Just
For this album at least.
yeah, this one. Our
Future one?
future ones, if
That's the perfect
Yeah,
answer.
that's the
We'll
perfect
see.
answer.
hashtag we'll see.
Yes. Maybe we should make that a trending one.
Yeah. That's the tagline, motto of the Bangalore metal scene
Yeah,
in
I
a
know.
nutshell. Yeah.
No, that's the whole fact. Yeah. Even with any bands, right? Like the hashtag we'll see would be fit for anything. Like,
The
dude, are you
band
going
and
to
the audience both.
Yes. No, it'll be like, dude, is this gig happening? We'll see. Dude, are we gonna get alcohol? We'll see.
And on the topic of, since we're talking about gigs and recording here, we're in a studio. So we just wanted to ask you, what's the difference between playing live and playing in a recording studio?
You want to take this one?
It's just like when you're playing live, you just have that extra energy where you're on stage, you have all those
And
people watching
you're
you.
bouncing off of the energy of the crowd.
Yeah,
exactly.
and in the studio you can actually hear yourself. You can
Yeah.
hear what you're playing.
And
When
you
you're
can
at-
curse each other.
You can know where exactly you're fucking up. Which
Exactly. No, that becomes the whole thing because see, when you're playing on a live show and stuff like that, when you don't hear too much of it, you're just like, okay, here you're constantly critiquing yourself. You're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, that small microsecond went wrong. Like, do that again. So
yeah. This, I think I have to give props to our engineer as well, Clinton, who has a brilliant ear for this stuff. I would never have, I wouldn't have the same precision that he does. He
Nice.
picked out everything that, made sure that we got the best that, we could.
no, that's the whole process of it. Like, when you have like a guy or rather a third party who's listening to it, you can get a bit more of honest feedback.
Exactly, yeah.
Here, band members are all like, hey, dude, awesome, bro, and everything. So it's like,
Yeah, and for me, I think in the studio, finally, what the main difference was that, fine, this is the lineup for this album. No changes, no, this gig we're playing with one lineup, next gig we're
Yeah.
playing with
I think
another
that's
one.
the most difficult thing
yeah.
to sustain as any band in Bangalore or like say in India. We're having a
Yes.
constant lineup because
Oh, I'll tell you, that is the most funniest. I'll give you one example. This happened way back, I think, in 2011, I guess. Yeah, so we were in a band called Dark Vision. I think you know Josh.
Right,
So
yeah.
we were all in one band. And we had 3 gigs on 3 consecutive days with 3 different lineups.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the most insane part of it.
no, but we've also played gigs where we've had different vocalists in
Yeah.
like a span of 3 months.
Yeah, I think here, when we started out, actually, so initially the idea that was conceptualized by me and our first guitarist and vocalist, Sonaksh, who was, it was me and him were friends since, our school, and
Okay.
yeah, so we always wanted to start a band together, and eventually, like, I mean, he was already in a whole bunch of
Yeah.
bands, and finally when we met our bassist, his name's Alfred, and
Not here, unfortunately.
If you want, we're not good at Photoshop to kind of get him just for a second there. So we'll just put a photo of him if we get to.
yeah, so Alfred, I think Alfred, the bassist, and Deepo, our first drummer. So this was the lineup that we started out with. At this time, before we conceptualized the idea, I had a few songs that I had already written.
okay.
And at that time, we didn't have the same direction that we do now.
Yeah, that happens.
It's
because when you're beginning off, you're so isolated in your own silos that you
Right.
kind of like, hey, this has to be like this.
Exactly. So, and what I wanted to do was, like an old school thrash sort of, and Sonaksh had a completely different idea with his. Yeah, he had his tech death influences and stuff, and most of the time we had no idea where we were going. So
Yeah, exactly. And then trying to figure where both of them piece together, and kind of you'll be like, dude, it's okay. Chill out. You go do your stuff. We'll do our stuff.
Yeah, that's why essentially we started in January 2017. That's when I decided that I wanted to do this, and we spoke about it, that this is what we and that's when we met Vijit for the first. That was our first lineup. So me on guitars, Vijit on drums, Alfred on bass, and Sonaksh on guitars and vocals. So when this started out, we were figuring out stuff as we went, but we had a sort of a direction.
General direction.
Yeah, which solidified with time. But so
no, that's the major thing which happens. Like initially when you're going through like a lot of process, like what you were talking about, the writing process and everything. That's when you come to know the stability of a lineup, because at that time somebody would be like, no, this doesn't work.
Yeah,
then you would be so focused because that's something that you badly want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These a lot of disagreements, lot of fights on that.
That brings about a lot of things. Honestly speaking, I'll tell you, like.
But that's part of being a band also.
Yeah, that's part of being a band.
Yeah, a wise man once said being in a band is like being in a relationship with 4 people you hate.
Yeah, it's literally being stuck there. And then you need to kind of keep seeing them in and out every week.
Yeah. This wise man was whole drummer Rakshit Herur, if you're watching.
Yeah.
You are a wise man.
Yes.
So next up, is there anything, on topic of recording, what's next for you guys?
So right now we just want to look at what we're doing now. We don't want to look too farther. But we started out with a completely different idea for the recording. So we played a lot of gigs in 2017, and as soon as I think we played 0 gigs this year, literally 0.
Yeah,
so, and that's understandable. I wouldn't go watch a band multiple times if I haven't heard their music.
Exactly.
So, and since we already had our songs written, when Nitin joined us, which was November 2017, we had all our songs written already. And so we decided like we'll start off recording a demo.
Exactly.
And the demo's idea was completely different. It was supposed to be very small scale, just to make sure some of our music's out.
Yeah, it's just to kind of give to the promoters and all this.
Exactly,
like, hey, we exist.
Yeah.
We play like this, so if you're interested.
Yeah, exactly. So if you say old school death metal, the people who like that genre would be interested to see what you bring to it. So that's what we started out with. Probably do a live recording and cut off the edges and make it sound more balanced, and just put it out so that people can hear what you're like. But eventually the whole idea evolved, and now we're finally sitting on an EP that we'll be releasing. And initially what we thought is we'll start off recording a full length immediately this year. So we'll just start writing more songs, and the songs that we have in our demo, we'll improve them further. And but I think we're finally happy with what we have right now.
That's the whole point of it, like reaching that happiness wherein you're like, I'm done, let the world know about this kind of.
It's a fine balance between getting word out.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you wanting to that perfect thing which has to go out.
Yeah,
like compromise and be like, okay.
See, as a band, we know we have a lot of things to improve on. We know where we need to work, and what we need to perfect in our next release or whatever else we write. But at the same time, when we are happy with what we have done, I think that's all that matters to us in the end. Feedback is obviously appreciated, but not to the extent where...
I know. We shouldn't rely completely on that either.
Yeah, we don't. As long as we're happy, we don't care. That's our motto.
Like, this is what we do. If you don't like us, screw yourself.
No,
Now that's metal.
Yeah, no, that is the whole concept of metal. when
Yeah,
you think
our
about
motto is we know you don't like us. We are just trying to change your opinion.
Yeah. If you want to change, or else leave it. There's another band down the road. Go talk to them. Or there is always Bollywood music. Go listen to them.
I'll manage it.
Ideologies.
ಸಾಕಾಯ್ತು ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗು.
Who will handle the camera, dude? At least for the camera, you lead it.
Okay, stay. I've changed my mind. Okay.
This is
That was-
be like the biggest gag reel thing.
Yeah,
of all
that's
time.
just
Yeah.
fail after fail. Failception. And my camera stopped. Camera also can't take it anymore.
Yeah, see, dude, you need to understand when the camera fails and he's like, I don't want to tape this anymore. There's something going really wrong.
We don't blame you, camera.
Yeah, we don't blame you, camera. We blame him.
My camera's seen some shit.
Okay, I don't think I want
Nobody
to
wants
go
to
into
hear
that.
that.
Yeah,
This is
back-
opening a big can of worms.
Pandora's
Back
box.
to the EP.
Yeah, we go back to the EP. Yeah, when's the EP coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just finished the recording about a couple of weeks back. So we're waiting for the final mix and master, and we'll be pressing a limited number of CDs like every other band. So we're expecting it to be out probably early Jan or late we're hoping to release a single in mid-December. That would be like the ideal.
That's a pretty good timeline when you think.
Yeah, that also the only timeline that we can adhere to now. This was supposed to take about effectively 6 months, but I think we've sat on it for over 8 months. Lack of experience, can't help it. So yeah, our EP, as we said, it has 4 songs, 4 complete tracks that we've written, and 2 intros. So totally 6 tracks on the CD. And yeah, that's what we're looking to press it and probably get it out hopefully by early Jan with a launch gig, hopefully.
Yeah, that'll actually be nice.
Cool. And anything else?
For that, you took the mic.
No, I took the mic for a different reason. Okay, so before we end things off, I want to do this quick sort of rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a question and we want to get each of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, go for it.
So the first one, who's your number one inspiration?
Wait. We can answer it again. First, clap.
Okay.
Because this is focused on them. This video will be going out now.
Oh yeah, that's
If that doesn't work, nothing else will.
okay. Start again.
Yeah.
For the camera's sake. Okay. So we just want to end this with a quick sort of rapid fire and want to get your opinions and inputs on these, each one of you. So to start with, who's your greatest influence? What sort of got you into the scene?
For me, it would be Cryptos.
Nice.
That got me
What
to
about
sing,
you?
yeah.
Like as bands.
Yeah,
Okay, for me it's a like totally different background. So like I come from like because people like
Rapid fire.
rapid fire. Okay, I used to listen to a lot of like Eric Clapton and
Nice.
Santana
You're not the
stuff.
only one here. I've also
Yeah,
known about
and
Eric Clapton.
yeah, but then later slowly I got into Sabbath, Priest, and then recently got into death metal. Started off with death and like
I also started listening to Guns N' Roses when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And
even I did. No.
This is rapid fire.
What about you?
Yeah, personally, I also have a lot of blues influences from right from blues and classic rock, Dire Straits, Eric Clapton, Albert King, that kind of stuff. And with death metal, with Regicide in mind, I'd say what started off the band for me was Bolt Thrower. That's where I got introduced to the genre. That's what made me want to dig deeper, I'd say. So
Nice.
yeah, Bolt Thrower would be like our foundation, I'd say. Even though we are moving into
darker territory.
yeah. So now what we are doing is more faster and stuff like incantation, malevolent creation, stuff like that. But at the foundation, that's what we have, Bolt Thrower, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you weren't playing your current instrument,
Yeah.
what would you play?
I would probably be playing the bass. No, actually, I won't want to play the bass, considering all the bass is
Yeah,
joke.
because bass players are always.
Yeah, no. and there are too many guitarists already. So, damn, I don't know. I'd probably not be playing anything if I was playing. Probably playing the keys or piano or something. Yeah.
Piano. Okay.
Probably.
What about you?
I think drums.
Drums.
Yeah. I told him like I'm a better drummer than like most of them.
Yeah, apparently
I think
Nitin is
so.
the
Third
third
best
best
drummer. Yeah.
This is an inside joke in the band.
Yeah.
Nitin is supposed to be like the third best drummer in Bangalore.
Yeah. Not Bangalore. What the fuck?
Bangalore, like the world. We've actually we have rankings where we have people like Gene Hoglan and all that, but Nitin's third.
Yes.
Nitin's
Then he'll
like-
come. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm somewhere on the bottom, but I'm
50
below
or something.
Nitin.
In their projected hopes, Vijit is going to be someday, hopefully, the drummer of Cryptos, and Nitin here is going to be drumming for Cryptopsy, hopefully.
Hey, but then you might have got a chance, right? Because they switched drummers recently.
No, but they didn't
No
have
auditions?
auditions or anything. No.
He did not wear the
I
t-shirt.
would have been there.
You lost out on a good
Nolan,
drummer.
what the hell, man?
Yeah, he's promoting your band right now.
No, not trying to promote.
Okay, what about
But I
you?
have
What
all
would
their
you be
merch.
playing?
I'm actually really surprised I have an answer to this, but there's an instrument called the theremin, which
Yeah.
is fucking fascinated the hell out of me, dude.
But I'm still confused how nobody wants to play the triangle or cowbell.
What the fuck is that?
No, the triangle.
Oh, okay, that. Yeah. Yeah, I think we leave that to you, Swiss ladies.
If you find any good ones, please send them our way.
Okay. One more. What are your respective day jobs?
I just graduated from Christ. I don't have a day job right now. So,
okay.
what about you, Nazar?
No day job.
So both of you are like work in progress.
No, yeah, I just graduated, and so right now we were focusing on recording this EP and a lot of other stuff like that. And I'm also preparing for GRE for further studies, so that's what I'm doing. I didn't pick up a job right now because then I had a lot of more time every day to focus
you
on
kind of
this.
get to experiment a bit more, get where you want to be, and then
And I feel like having a job would, restrict you to just the weekends, and then getting this EP out would have taken a lot more time. And it's safe to say that it's already long overdue.
Now that's commitment to the band.
Yeah.
Good job, bro.
No, now again, Crypto C.
After you said GRE, I don't think so.
No, it can go both ways. Right?
Yeah, it can. Maybe. Will be easier logistically for their European shows. Yeah, maybe. What about you, Nitin?
I don't.
Oh, okay. So
Just playing the guitar.
I'm
Nitin's
just
a
another
full-time, very talented.
full-time
musician.
yeah,
Think so.
and
And he's very
also
talented. Check him
VFX
out,
guy.
guys.
Oh.
Yeah, I am also doing a course on VFX. So, like, pretty much it. You go, bro.
Yeah. So I've been working as an embedded systems engineer for about a year now.
Okay.
Marks a year. Yeah. So that's what I've been. I graduated in 2017. So yeah, that's what I've been doing since then. Yeah.
Point made with this, metalheads are not jobless. We're jobless only if we want to be.
No, we're jobless by choice.
I mean, most metalheads, like you say, 50 to 60 people is the audience, and they all have a combined IQ of 100. Looks bad for the same. Yeah.
I'm not going to edit that.
Everybody
I'm
watching,
not going to edit that.
everybody watching this at home is
coming
saying,
off the way this-
"How doesn't say this, dude? Speak for yourself, man."
No, wait, what? I'm justifying, like, vindicating my position here. I'm saying it looks bad for the scene. If
Point.
Yeah, like please still come and watch us. We're not.
Yeah, please.
Whether we
have
don't-
anything coming out, we have.
We're all very nice, smart guys. Please.
our IQ equals our CD sales.
That's a good way.
Okay.
Wait, but at this point, I have an awesome thing for you. Okay. So I want each of you to give me the most horrible joke that you know.
Or pun.
The most horrible joke that you know.
Oh, dude.
Sudarshan.
Totally my ball.
Okay, let's start.
Oh, all right. Okay. Sounds like fun. Okay, what do you get for getting into an accident?
What?
Award.
Oh my god.
Okay, now the bar is
My
set
mom's a
for-
doctor who's probably sitting
Okay,
at
I
home
can't
here
break
and
that
going
one.
like, oh shit, that wasn't bad.
That's what
Yeah,
you just
like
have to identify your target audience.
Yeah.
Hi, auntie.
More than that,
You get along with Sudarshan, mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the bar is set like really in an awesome level. So you will have lot to compete with.
Yeah, Nitin, what do you have for us?
So like lately I was watching a lot of these Nityananda videos.
Ah,
oh, shit.
Okay.
Lame as fuck. Like so I can't say, but there's this one dialogue he says like E is equal to not MC square, it is MC square.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see, again, back to my point about the IQ.
This is actually making that one a bit more realistic.
Validating
now.
it,
Yeah.
No, but those guys aren't like. Man, those guys are hilarious. E is not equal to MC square, it's MC. Like, and they also say that
Every plate is a
a
murder.
vegetarian brain can retain the information, but a non-vegetarian brain
Cannot.
cannot. Like, what even is a vegetarian non-vegetarian brain?
This is, I think, I can't think of a word for it.
Moving forward.
Yeah, moving forward.
Yeah.
We need the joke from you now.
Oh yeah.
The worst you can think of.
It's probably something Sudarshan's told me in the past, though.
No, you can always copy. That's no issues.
No, this really bad thing I heard recently is there was a guy who went into a jungle where apparently nobody's come back from that jungle ever.
Okay.
And he...
Oh, I know what he's talking about. The place in Japan, right?
No, it's just a joke, bro.
No, now coming
too
back
serious.
to the IQ point, we have one more contender.
Go on, bro.
Yeah, so this guy goes to the jungle and he's like the first man who's ever survived and come back apparently.
Okay.
So there's a lot of media that surrounds him and they ask him like, fuck, how did you do this? Like, how did you survive this? So he tells them like, oh yeah, it was really simple. I was on my bike and I saw a tiger right in front of me. And I did like the smartest thing I could think of at the time. I showed him the right indicator and I turned left. I was like, damn,
It's
this is-
actually really unfortunate that our bassist isn't here. He's like the resident humor of the band. Yeah,
Oh, shit.
that's what he's brought to the band. We write music, he brings the
He brings the
jokes.
jokes. Then probably I think on the next episode or something we have to feature them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
just him.
just like somewhere his head here or in this space.
Yeah, you give us a photo, we'll just have it like somewhere there in the thing and then we'll
No, but all credit to Alfred. Alfred is definitely the funniest guy in the band.
Yeah, definitely. No doubt.
Okay, so now I have a bad joke for you people. You can now rate me in your Alfred scale. Okay?
Oh.
On bad jokes.
Let's see.
So, what do cows do when they get bored?
They run the nation.
No. They. Wait, that was. That's a
winning
joke. Yeah, that was.
Oh my God.
No, but that's an intellectual joke. I am looking for. A
Yeah,
bad-
for our metal audience, dude.
Yeah, for a metal audience.
IQ's coming up.
Do you know what cows do when they get bored? They go to the movies.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Will you please hit him?
Oh my God.
I think Alfred would have. I don't think Alfred would have even wanted the answer to that joke.
Seriously?
When he would have lost you at cow. Like, whoa, did you just say cow? Let's
Oh my god.
No, because I mean
Yes.
he loves beef. That's
Ah.
yeah. So
So the cow wouldn't even exist to do
yeah,
anything
it
anymore.
wouldn't. Oh, you said cow. You
The
mean
cows
beef?
would have
That's
no
what-
beef with Alfred.
Yeah.
Okay, that I can rate on an Alfred scale.
Oh shit! Come on, this thing stopped.
Oh yeah, and that's the joke by Akshay.
Yeah.
Oh, but then this was very productive.
Yeah.
And one of the, what do you call, it's, see, this kind of becomes a bit more easier to do rather than having an interview. What do you guys do? What do you do? So, what do you feel? How was this experience?
Interviews
This-
aren't our thing either. so-
Yeah, that's why we're like, fuck it, we'll just talk to them in person, just record it.
Yeah, I guess it's always better
Interviews
because
don't-
it's more free flowing and you always have a better
Exactly, yeah.
outcome if you have it in a format of a free flowing conversation rather than you giving us like questions like, okay, this is what we're gonna ask you and you prepare an answer for that.
I'll vouch for that.
Especially us guys with interviews. What about a band? When you guys are playing? क्या आपके toothpaste में नमक है?
Soon, hashtag we will see.
So that was the fun part, that was the whole intention of this whole thing, and it's just like getting together, talking to the people, and obviously because there's a lot more to musicians than what we see on stage, right? Because
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think.
we all crack horrible jokes, so the world needs to know about all of these things.
Yeah. Also, it's not all bad jokes. Just saying, it's because you specifically asked for bad jokes.
Dude, that's what is more entertaining, because an intellectual joke.
I can imagine so many guys watching this right now going like, no Sudarshan, no. With you, it's just bad jokes. You guys know who you are.
Yeah, okay. I think I should agree with that. Probably our vocalist Nehal. Nehal is probably.
Suck it, Sudhu. Hey, Sudhu, shut up.
Thankfully, I have the higher IQ of the two. So. Yeah.
So it's beating with them with their IQs.
Yeah, it's all that's what you do when you can't beat them at the humor. Just go for the brain.
That's perfect.
Awesome.
So now comes the awkward part when we don't even know how to end this. How do we end this?
Just cut it out, man.
No.
Fade out.
Like, 1, 2, 3, the end. Boom.
Anyway, so guys, we had Regicide with us. Please check out their
Or EP.
No, that was a really
Or
bad
music.
thing. We were like, okay, this is the end, and then everyone starts like, okay, so now coming back to this, we have this.
Oh shit.
Like, okay, so to end it on a more formal way. So guys, that was Regicide. They have an EP coming out. Please listen to them. Buy their CDs, buy their T-shirts.
What T-shirts?
Yeah,
when it's out.
yeah, when it's out. And we are TUGGtv and Namaskar.
and as always, stay metal.
Stay metal. So you can give it on both ways.
This is yours, right? Can I drop the mic?
It's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
awesome. Thanks a lot.
This is super fun, man.